So we've just watched a very exciting Miami sprint race, and we're here to discuss it on the second episode of Zero Credentials F1 podcast. Nelly, that was a good race, wasn't it? I think, like the sprint race, I think these sprint race videos should be short and sweet. So I want to keep this tight. I've got a list. I've got some notes. I know you have as well, but I think we should start with Kimi Antonelli.
Yeah,
because
that was intense. He was
because he qualified on pole, didn't he, for the Miami sprint race, which with a fantastic lap. So take me on a journey into turn one.
Oh, so Kimi doesn't make the greatest of starts. Actually, it's the second phase. He seems to dump something or miss a gear or whatever, and Oscar takes off. But then at the corner, I think it is Oscar's corner, if I'm brutally honest with you. It's he gets in there sharp. I don't think he pushed Kimi wide, but I think Kimi was maybe a bit too respectful and didn't want to damage the cars. I think a lot of them were very conscious of damaging the car for quali, given its proximity from the sprint race. So he got on the radio, did the usual of he pushed me off the track, but nothing doing there.
I would tend to agree. I think like they were virtually side by side going into the corner, weren't they? And Oscar he didn't go off the track. He kept it on the track. And to me, it looked like Antonelli had gone off the track almost of his own accord. It kind of, I don't know if he got off. I think he knew that Oscar had released the brake pedal a little bit.
Yeah.
So he did the same. And then he just couldn't make it round because of the wet conditions. And to me, it looked like he went off a little bit earlier. I would agree that it's turn one. It's lap one.
Yeah. Something and nothing.
Shenanigans, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that when Oscar moved out, he hit the apex, then moved out to the side to take the racing line, fair enough. But Antonelli was nowhere nearing then, so he was definitely not pushed off. They veered apart from the apex.
Yeah, that's right.
Nothing doing there.
If he'd given up that place, he'd have stayed in second as well.
You missed something pre-race, brother. Charles Leclerc.
Yes, I was going to come on to that. Yeah, I was going to come on to that, but I just thought Kimi was the big story of the day because I think we've covered turn one, but the issue with the unsafe release of Max Verstappen from the pits. I mean, it's Antonelli. He's an 18-year-old lad he's just started on pole for the first time in a race in F1. There's a lot on that lad's shoulders, and then that happens to him in a wet race in Miami, a course he's never driven before. And for him to avoid that rear left tyre and jackman
his
of
avoiding
the
action
Mercedes
saved
team.
Lives today. His avoiding action saved lives. Yeah, somebody was going to get seriously hurt with that. And it's not the first time this year that Red Bull have got pit stops wrong. They could blame a technical issue with the traffic lights or the lollipop man, because they have overrides and things. Those on the pit wall have overrides on this, but I don't know what Red Bull are doing. Maybe they're so terrified to keep up with the brilliance of Max that they're terrified to lose him half a second, quarter of a second on a pit stop. So they're probably taking far too many chances. I think 10-second penalty was right. I think there'll be more to come out of this. I think there'll be post-race investigations and some various other things to come out of that, because that was a close call today.
It was very, very dangerous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very dangerous. I just think Antonelli did so well. I also, when we were watching it, I couldn't help but think, what would Max Verstappen say if that had been the other way around?
Oh, he'd have been calling for blood. He'd say he can never race again. He needs 1 million points on his professional FIA license. He needs to be hung, drawn and quartered. The guy would have never raced again. But it was very messy, and I hope Red Bull take it take it away and actually do something proper about it.
Max did make me chuckle. Max made me chuckle in his post-race interview, though, because they were asking him about being virtually over the line. Something he grasped up Lando for that the other week, didn't he? And then he's basically done the same thing. It got reviewed and he didn't get a penalty. And then they asked him about it. And fair play to him, he was like, yeah, on the edge. I quite like that.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do it. But now everybody, you watch them line up for the race tomorrow. Everybody will be, in inverted commas, on the edge. Everyone will push it to the furthest extent now. They have to. Yeah. Martin Brundle was saying that on commentary. He said, well, if that's what's permissible, if that's the limit of what's acceptable, then everyone has to do it, because you're talking such fine margins that a small contact part, 18 centimetres might make all the difference.
Yeah, I think that's right. Let's keep this swift, like I was saying. Let's move on to Lando's victory. Something I will remind you that I predicted for the sprint race. Just saying.
I got overly excited by having Antonelli as my wild card. And I was laughing in the face of your hubris. But this well deserved. Well predicted. I'll give you that, brother. Well predicted.
Thank you.
And you know what? He's due a bit of luck, is Lando. He got the bum deal in terms of they couldn't have stacked the cars for the tyre change because they were so close anyway. He was set to lose some time and then fell into his hand. Fate sometimes lands that way, and he got a very decent safety car as he was actually in the pits, as he was coming out. So that meant that Oscar had to just slow down to safety car speeds and lost the time. But yeah.
Is that right? Because I wasn't 100% certain on that. I couldn't quite figure out if when did Oscar get hit with the Delta, and would Lando have come out in front anyway?
I think he might have been hit with double wave yellows. He might have been hit with double wave yellows or something similar. But
I'd love to have seen the onboard from Oscar's helmet or from his car, because I'm not sure how much that. I mean, I assume he got hit with a Delta, but it kind of seemed to happen. The safety car seemed to come out while Lando was leaving his pit box.
Yeah.
So I don't think it doesn't feel like it would have made that much difference. Like I say, I don't know, and I couldn't quite, when they were saying it in commentary, I couldn't quite figure it out whether that was the case or not. But anyway, that's what happened, didn't it?
It made for some good excitement, though, didn't it? It made for a bit of, like nice. We were also loves Lando. Yeah,
and like we were also saying in the preview show, is Lando's pace was phenomenal, wasn't it? He was all over the back of Piastri, and Piastri went for a little jaunt across the little chicane, didn't he? And which probably, like you say, led to Lando not being able to stack in the pit stop.
Yeah, and there's that he was certainly hounding him down. I mean, everyone's tyres looked absolutely minced when they were coming in.
Yeah,
and it was the right. I'm glad a wet dry race can be very exciting. That short though, I thought some of them would try and hang it out and wait till the end, but it just turned on so quickly or dried up so quickly that they had no choice but to come in. And
McLaren looking very strong.
Yeah,
aren't
they know they've got a tasty car under them. Oscar was sort of tongue in cheek, almost smiling about it. He feels wounded, of course, because he did nothing wrong, and just fate got in the way, but. No, he did extremely well. And, everyone is happy to see Lando get the win. His cheeky little smile at the end there. Everyone's going to get happy with that.
Yeah, there's a couple of happy British lads on those post-race interviews with the Phoenix, wasn't there?
Yeah. 1, 3, 5 and 8.
Yeah.
The British boys.
Yeah. What do you think of the wet weather starts and stuff? Because I have some thoughts.
Wet weather start, I think there should be maybe a driver's rep or something like that. Maybe one of them selected from within the field to actually be the barometer of it, or at least a proper driver or in the safety car, because they send the medical car and the safety car around for a through laps, and with the best will in the world, they're not Formula One races.
I think they should mandate wet weather, full wets. If it's wet enough for them to be not doing a standing start and they've got to go out for a few laps behind the safety car, they should mandate full wets, because that should be the barometer for where we can go racing.
Yeah.
Is it wet enough that we can't race on full wets? And if the answer is yes, then fair enough, because we want it to be safe. But that's not the case, is that they seem to want to avoid that full wet tyre with everything they can do. And what ends up as being a great race, I think could have gone two ways. It could have gone and just been a really boring procession. If the track hadn't dried up as quickly as it did, that would have been a procession to the end.
Yes.
Thankfully, it dried up really quickly because it's obviously hot and humid. And it dried up really quickly, so we got a great race. But on the other flip side of that is, if we'd had some sort of full wet start, we may have got 2 pit stops in.
Yes.
On that race.
Yeah.
And I just think like there's
I
was frustrated. And in the end as well, we only got 10 laps of pretty much 10 laps of racing.
I agree and disagree, because I agree that that situation, the heaviness of the rain when they were coming out onto the actual circuit on the grid meant that, yes, the obvious choice was wet, and Ferrari paid the price for that. And even Lewis said that, what the fuck are you doing, lads? But equally, my only concern is the FIA get overly judicious about things. So they would go off and employ 10 scientists to define what is wet weather tire, full wet weather tire, and they'd make some arbitrary measure in the middle of the race, and they'd make it far too technical. Overall, I think on balance, I don't mind a bit of jeopardy, it being the team and the driver's choice.
Balance is the word,
yeah,
isn't it? Like, you want a balance between, are we going racing or are we being safe? And at the moment, I think we're not quite getting it right. I think you could mandate full wets.
There are some obvious occasions where anyone who isn't on the full wets is crazy. But my fear is, with the FIA as overbearing as they can be, they find some way to take any fun out of it.
Yeah. I mean, my only thought is, in the past, we've always got excited about wet races. But over the last couple of years, there's been certain times, like that time in Brazil and stuff, where there just hasn't been any racing.
Yeah.
And I think there's surely a better balance to be struck. But let's leave that, because we still had a great race.
There'll be plenty more wet races throughout the year. This will come back.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Possibly tomorrow, even.
Yeah.
But let's discuss Ferrari, because they love throwing up some stuff to talk about. And Charles, unfortunately, binned it into the wall on the lap to the grid, which it's not his first time that he's binned it, is it? Like,
it's one of those things. It's embarrassing for everyone. It feels like a rookie mistake. But to be fair, he was sent out on the wrong tyres. Although he has a say in that. He's not blindly going to say, okay, chuck anything on me, lads. I'll go out there. He has a call on that. And yeah, Ferrari, they could have still found out the information by putting full wets on to get to the grid, because he could have arrived there and said, actually, Inters would have done, thanks very much, but you don't have that risk associated with binning the car. And something like that happens, and you think, rear suspension, right suspension, front right suspension. I feel sorry for the poor lads in the garage who were hoping for a few hours of downtime, thinking, right, I'm on a race to build one side of a car, and God knows if he smashed it in a certain angle, he could have knocked gearboxes and all sorts of stuff. It could be a really nasty big build and flaws and everything. So yeah, my heart goes out to the fellas who have to build the things, but I'm sure they get compensated appropriately.
I hope they do. Charles's on board as well just showed how, like, he started aquaplaning.
He was a passenger. There was
nothing he could do, was there?
Yeah.
Also, on the other side of that, though, you got Lewis coming in third for the sprint race, which was pretty good. You had a happy Lewis after the race, didn't you?
Yeah.
He lapping up that Miami crowd. And I mean, I think the Ferrari pit wall nailed it, didn't they? I think in sort of cooperation with Lewis, I think when you're sixth in the sprint race, is that 3 points? 3 or 4?
Yeah, no, sixth would be 3. Yeah. It's 8 down. Yeah, 8 down to 1.
I think it was worth the gamble. Let's lose 3 points and go for it because our tires are dead anyway. We might end up.
That's
8th.
it. He would have got swallowed up. He'd absolutely minced the front inters. They looked horrible when they came off the motor, and I don't think he had a choice in the matter. I mean, they'll go around and say great strategy and everything else. I don't think he had an alternative, but it's still good.
Sorry, go on. One interesting thing he said in the post-race interview, though, was that he was disappointed he didn't have a few more laps to have a go at the McLarens.
Yeah.
And I thought that's interesting because, he obviously thinks maybe he knows that car's getting stronger towards the end of the race, but he seemed to. I mean, he wouldn't have said that if he didn't think he had a chance of giving him a bit of a fight.
Something's starting to click there, and that's nice to see that he had a bit of confidence and he wanted to keep going. Because some of them, they get out the car. I mean, you always think of Alonso. I think it was Albert Park where he was asked by the pit wall, what tyres do you want? He said, I don't care, put anything you want on it. It's absolutely horrible to drive. It's not going to make a difference. We're still going to be last. What I did find interesting, though, was, the track was drying. Lewis and Lando were put on the softs, which you would expect because obviously the track's still going to be a bit cool and they're the easiest to switch on, and you've got, 8 laps left to play with?
All it was.
They would have lasted all day. I wonder if because McLaren put Piastri on the mediums, and I thought that was a bit of a trade-off to Lando to say, okay, we couldn't stack you, we put you in second, but I mean it didn't matter in the end. But we gave Oscars the mediums and we gave you the softs. So I don't know, because it just seemed to make no sense.
At the end of the day as well, no one knows what those papaya rules are.
No.
Do they?
No. I'm not sure they.
Everyone keeps saying, papaya rules. And I'm thinking, what are the papaya rules? Because I don't think anyone knows, including Lando and Oscar, I think, sometimes.
I know we're making this quick and I'll shut up, but in the practice session, there was Red Bull... McLaren making a joke about tyre water, because that was one of the rumours going around, that they were cooling their tyres or keeping them particularly cool with.
I saw that
internal water sprays and stuff. So that was a bit of a piss take by them, but no, it's it was a really, really exciting hour or so.
Good. Yeah, do give us a like on the video, subscribe, and I'd love to see some comments as well. But we've got the race review. Yes, that's right. Race review coming out. It'll be some point on Monday afternoon, I think. So make sure you check that out. And we'll see you on another one very, very soon. Bye for now.